Welcome, everybody, to what might be our final episode of 6 on 6 this year. We are getting very, very close to 2025 being completely wrapped up in the books, meaning 2026 is just around the corner. And for Siege fans, it also means we're only a couple weeks away from the 6 Invitational. And the gentleman who's joining me, his team just qualified for the 6 Invitational. So some claps in the chat, please, for Mr. Troy Canadian. We're going back to basics here because Mint is traveling for the holidays and Fett caught the land flu in Philadelphia. So I'm actually a little glad I didn't end up going to that event. But you were there, and we're going to get to talk about that. We will. We will talk about it a little bit. You were there. But before we get into the goods, you might want to know what our run of show is today. We're going to be talking about something that dropped just a couple days ago. The esports calendar for Rainbow Six in 2026 was announced. So we're going to go through the timeline of what our calendar looks like, any notable additions, any potential notable exclusions. And then from there, we're going to move to a bit of a 2-3 week retrospective on Operation Tenfold Pursuit. The newest season has been live for a couple weeks now. You can ban Thatcher in your games. Finally, is he worth banning? What do we think of the hard breach changes? Is Fortress a lot of fun? We'll go through that. After that, we'll talk about the regional finals. Both NA League and APAC wrapped up their grand finals last week. We can finally dive into the results of those events. And then we're going to finish with a little bit of a rumor roundup. And it was a rumor, but it has now been confirmed just an hour before the show. Dark Zero has purchased NRG Esports and will be completely rebranding under the NRG name. So DZ, as we know it, is long gone or will be gone in 2026. It was a rumor. It is now fact. Another rumor that's going around is Nesk retiring. Is Furia going to be bought out by Team Liquid? These are rumors right now that are being reported on in Brazil. We'll talk about them a little bit. But let's start with the R6 esports calendar. Troy, you saw that. I guess before that, how have you been? It's been a month or two since you were on the show. How's life treating you? How'd you like the Spoit event? How are the NA League finals?
I've been good. Yeah, I don't know. That's all blur, but Spoifitation was very fun. Had a lot of fun at that. NA League finals, basically SI qualifier. So, happy with what we accomplished. But I think because we qualified, but I think we have a lot we want to work on. And I think we kind of already had that mindset going in. I'll get more into that later. But yeah, I've been good. Happy to be back on. Little quarterly show for me.
We'll get you on 4 shows a year. That's all that we can muster.
Yeah. Works out. Lines up with the breaks. Actually, speaking of the calendar, you look at the calendar, it probably lines up. We could probably predict where the shows will lie. We look at this calendar.
I mean, look, I understand that you're a fierce competitor who wants to win every major and potentially every SI that exists. And with you qualifying for the 6 Invitational, you are, correct me if I'm wrong, the only person in Rainbow Six who has now qualified for every single 6 Invitational since the very first.
The only player.
Only player.
Cameraman has as well, but he's
a coach. Yeah, he's a coach. But you're the only competitor who's done that. So hats off to you. Congratulations to Canadian for obviously doing that. As your friend, I support you. As a caster, I do not care where you finish. But it is always good to see you there because it makes my job a little bit easier because I can cast you hopefully somewhat well. And, I understand again that you're a fierce competitor here, but you making deep runs or going home too early really impedes our ability to film content for this show at the live events. And I think maybe you should care a little bit more about this podcast, Troy. You did co-found it.
This is true.
Yeah.
This is true.
And instead of filming a live show at Munich, you went to Japan. I'm envious on both counts that you didn't have to film the live show and you also went to Japan. So damn you to hell.
I had to capitalize. Free time. Don't get the opportunity often. I apologize. It's a sorry, not sorry kind of thing. Yeah, but I think I will be staying in Paris either way, and obviously the plan is to stay longer playing. So actually, hopefully, no live show.
Well, I mean, it just depends if there's timing or not. We got to get either Fent or Mint there, and then get you as well, and hopefully we can do another show. It was just our schedule in Munich was really weird. We did have full intentions of doing a live show, as did Jake and Guz. I don't think they recorded a live show either. Fresh and Friends sometimes does live shows. It was too tricky a schedule The timing was weird. We were quite far from the venue, so it wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't as
the best
easy.
setup.
Yeah. But we can do a little bit of a Munich major retrospective, because I actually would like to hear what went wrong, because I don't think you had the run at Munich that you were quite hoping for. I think a number of teams felt that way. But having you on here will be a good perspective, so maybe we can add that to the docket at some point. But
I think that can tie in with our NAL Finals, because I think the turnaround for all that wasn't the best. So the issues that were with us in Munich, we didn't have time to solve them. You can't fix stuff overnight. So I can touch on that.
And we will, and we shall. But first, the 2026-2027 R6 Esports calendar was unveiled just a couple days ago, and it made some waves, both positive, mostly positive, some minor negatives here, depending on how you see it. I'm just going to run through it real quick for those of you that are not watching through the visual component, be it on Spotify or YouTube. Basically, what happens is we've got the LCQs running through January. We've obviously got SI in February. Then we go to March. And March is for the Challenger Series, which is a bunch of regional stuff for Challenger, which is to get into the show. If people have followed along with esports, you know that with our esport, you know that relegations are back. So the two low teams get kicked out. They have an opportunity to requalify, but it's not always a given. In North America, our region, we saw Team Cruelty and LFO/Orglis get kicked to the curb. In Europe, it was Wild and Wolves, if memory serves correctly. So
I believe so, yeah.
They're going to have to qualify as well, or requalify, or those teams can break up and they can go wherever. Obviously, there is a tier setup in Rainbow Six where you have your partnered orgs, which no matter what, they cannot go anywhere. You have your affiliate orgs. They can be in jeopardy. And then in some regions, you don't even have either of those. I think Enterprise, actually, who've qualified for most live events this year, they're in that bracket. So in March,
qualified for all of them.
I think so as well.
Reload, other than Reload. But
well, I mean, because Reload was only for partnered orgs.
Yeah.
So March, off season, and the Challenger Series, and then we have a kickoff event in April. So we've got basically wall-to-wall coverage of this esport for the entire year. There's almost no months off, so it will be a very busy year for Rainbow Six Esports. In April, we will have SI points on the line and a major coming back in May that the regional kickoff season will also determine. So it's not quite a stage. It's a small, we don't really have a lot of details. I don't know if you could see them. I'm sure, I was going to say, I think because obviously you're under NDA. I'm going to be honest with you. This esports calendar dropping blindsided us as casters. I've said this on the show before, but we are often running behind to catch up on information as a talent team, as a broadcast team. There are lots of times where I need to message players and coaches to get information on what is coming because I do not have that info. So yeah, it was a little bit of a sore spot that this calendar was dropped and the broadcast team was completely unaware of it. Some of us didn't even know what the calendar would look like, let alone know that an announcement was coming. So I don't know anything beyond what is on your screen right now. And that's not me trying to lie or hold an NDA close to my heart. That is genuine and sincere. So we have the seasonal kickoff portion that's going to be in April. There'll be SI points on the line, and then it will also qualify you, as far as I'm aware, for the major, which is coming in May. So we are back to 2 majors. No more Reload. I'm sure you're happy about that. I'm happy about that.
I mean, yeah, I'm happy about that. Missing an event because your org isn't partnered is not the greatest. And the format was,
it was fun.
It seemed fun. if you're going just to have fun, sure. But we don't have enough events to have a fun event.
We're not allowed to have fun. Yeah.
We need to have competitive events. When you only have 4 a year, you need them to be competitive. Can't have a fun event, really. Like I think NAL Finals, that was a fun event.
It wasn't a serious event. It wasn't a serious event.
Not entirely. Like the teams did take it seriously, but like the vibe of it was more fun. Like it's smaller, like local crowd, like the challenger teams are there too. It just seemed more fun and like that's all. But the teams took it seriously. It's not like we're like sitting there trolling. But yeah.
Lower stakes, I think you could say. And there really isn't much on the line, right? For a lot of teams, we saw this with the old DreamHack events where like winning DreamHack is cool, but the real prize is getting deep enough to qualify for the Six Invitational or the next major, right?
Yeah.
So when you've got most of the teams qualifying for SI before the grand finals of, you know, the regional finals have been played, it does, I think, kind of put a shadow over that event. And I mean, there are no regional finals next year. So that is another thing that we will address as we get deeper into the calendar. So they've decided that the fun events are gone for next year. The Reload is gone. The regional finals are gone. We have a May major now, and they have not indicated where that's going to be. I have to assume it won't be Europe because we just had 2 European events back to back. You have Munich and then you have Paris in February. I mean, maybe we do go back to Europe. Who knows? I do quite like Europe, so it wouldn't really upset me that much. I selfishly want a Toronto major very badly. I don't think we're going to get one, but
that'd be sick.
Every time they're like, well, why don't you go to Toronto? The devs are always like, well, why don't we just go to Montreal? And it's like, man, I'm sick of Montreal. Let's go to Toronto. Anyway. So the major is back. Hooray. Hooray for the major. We have another major. And then once that one wraps up, that's when the regional league starts. So stage 1 will run from June and July. I think it was July and early August that stage 1 ran this year, if memory serves correctly. This year's been a bit of a blur. And then this is one of the probably the only real contentious part of the esports calendar. And again, it really depends on what you think of this event. And I did read a comment in our latest video where it's like, what is INTERRO'S axe to grind against the Esports World Cup? I have spoken about this on the show here. I have also spoken about it on my own stream, and I've talked about it on Twitter. I have no problem as a regular person going to Riyadh and going to Saudi Arabia. No problem traveling there. It seems like a cool country. I'd like to explore it. But I think when we only have so many events a year, going to a place that criminalizes much of the things that this game and this community try to celebrate is just wrong. And the fact that it's run by the government makes it wrong. And, you know, I don't want to engage or be complicit in going to Saudi Arabia to be window dressing for an oppressive regime that is trying to buy up industries to, I think, wash away a poor reputation that it has with freedom of speech, human rights, gender and sexuality, that sort of thing, right? And I mean, a couple of people engage in whataboutism and say like, well, what about America right now? Not to get too political, but having an event in America is not the same as having the government run an event in Saudi Arabia. I'm only speaking for myself right now. I'm not speaking for this podcast. I'm not speaking for other broadcast talent. I'm not even speaking for Troy because I know that you've gone to a couple of the events. I know Jesse has as well. I know Pengu has as well. So it's like, if people want to go, that's fine. But for me personally, I'm in a position where I can turn down an event like that, and I don't need the money that badly. I have no problem taking Saudi Arabian money. I have done so before. One of my former employers was literally owned by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So it'd be hypocritical for me to all of a sudden turn around and say, well, no, now I'm not going to do it. This was before esports. But the way that I see it is if the American government, like if there was like a Trump major in Washington on the front lawn of the White House, sponsored entirely by the government and all that jazz, that would be the same as what's happening over at the Esports World Cup, right? Like when you go to EWC, like the royal family will literally come visit you and watch your games and they'll introduce themselves to you. Yeah, if like we're running an event on the White House lawn and JD Vance comes into our green room, like that is the equivalent, right? I would not work that event. It would not surprise anybody. I have no interest in doing that. Again, I have no interest in being window dressing for, you know, what I would consider to be a less than ideal setting. And I know that there are other people who have the same feeling about the Esports World Cup. And there was always this sense that gradually it would gain more and more presence and prominence in our esports scene. And well, here we are. It is now an official event that the winning team immediately qualifies for SI 2027. Now, that is quite a change. It used to be that EWC was just a lot of money and that was it. But now it's incorporated into our circuit. I obviously am not a fan of that. It also makes the event more important than the other majors because if you win a major, you just get SI points. Now, if you win EWC, not only do you get $1 million+ bucks, but you also get an auto invite. It's basically like an old DreamHack, but even bigger. And now I think you could make a very credible argument that it's one of the biggest events in our calendar. Really just not quite a fan of that. If you want to talk about it, you're welcome to. If you want to withhold your comments, you're welcome to as well. But those are my thoughts, and I have no problem talking about them.
I got not a lot to say.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, I do think the way the points work, if you win another major, odds are you're qualifying for SI. At least the way
Yes.
they had the to be fair, there was way less events this year, so it's hard to say. But like the way
Yeah.
they had the points set up this year is like if you won a major, well, obviously qualified because it was a guaranteed spot. But I wouldn't be surprised if you did qualify. But
And your point is correct, right? Like it all but qualifies you in name. But at
yeah,
the same time, I think there is a big difference between, hey, you win a lot of SI
I
points,
get
and
it.
as long as you completely don't blow up, you make it, versus, hey, if you win this event, you are guaranteed a shot at making it.
I get it. Could be worse. Could
Yeah.
be SI points across the board.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's just
I'm
a
just
bigger dream
happy
hack.
there's another major.
I agree.
So,
And I don't want to be a negative Nancy here because that Esports World Cup, edition in August is really the only bad uh, for for this calendar. I like everything else. I do like everything else. So it is a bit of a sore spot, and I want to be forever the optimist. I'm trying not to dwell on the only part of this I don't like because I love the rest of the esports calendar. I love that we have another major. I love the way that they spaced out the regionals. I love that the LCQ is in the same place. Like I like that we're doing a kickoff. Like I think it's great. I think everything is excellent except for obviously EWC's inclusion, and it should surprise nobody that as of right now I have absolutely no desire or interest in working it. I imagine Dez and Ace will be in the same boat because Dez has been quite outspoken about it before. But it is a necessary evil if you consider it to be an evil, and some viewers of this show don't consider it to be an evil, and that's fine. You know, I don't judge people who think differently of it. My only main gripe is if you have gone a couple years actively shit talking this event, and then they back up a dump truck full of money onto your front lawn, and suddenly you're like, oh my god, I love the Esports World Cup. It's like at least acknowledge that your support has been purchased. Like your integrity's been bought. You know, and there were people in the scene who've done that. Every single year that we've had an Esports World Cup, there is always invariably one person who said, I'll never go, fuck this, fuck that, yada, yada, yada. And then all of a sudden, nope, they're there and they're taking photos and it's, oh my God, this is the greatest event I've ever gone to. And it's like, just admit that your integrity's for sale. That's it. That's all that we need to do. So if you don't have anything else to add about the Esports World Cup, we can roll on. So after EWC is done, we are back to our regularly televised programming, regularly scheduled programming. Stage 2 of the regional finals will kick off in September, probably early to mid-September, and then we'll run through September and October, which will then be capped off with a fall major, just as we saw with the Munich major. It's going to be in November. Again, no idea where we're going. Maybe that one will be in Europe because we do tend to have at least one European event a year. I guess since we're going to Paris, maybe not. Who knows? I would love to have like another South American or APAC major, but we've only ever had one APAC event. Please just give me an APAC event somewhere, whether it's in May, whether it's in November. I don't really care, but I would like to go. But yeah, all major. Everything else is normal there. And then we go into the SI LCQs in December and January. So they've completely axed the regional finals. I'm fine with that. I did like the idea of a regional final, but I mean, I guess you can kind of give better perspective here as a player. Why do teams just not care about regional finals in our esport when they do in other esports?
well, so I think at least in NA's case, one thing was like for us, the priority was qualifying for SI, and we qualified by just getting top 3. So it kind of like removed the stakes from it a bit. The other problem was that you couldn't really practice for it. Um, our NAL finals and APAC finals were both a week after uh what's the name of the update called?
Operation
Operation
Tenfold Pursuit. You know
Oh, thank
ball.
you.
Look at this.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll just throw it to you. You'll name drop it for me. Thank you.
I got you.
Operation Tenfold Pursuit came out week
Mhm.
before. And we played on the previous patch at the NAL finals. So, and it's like pretty big changes. Like it's not,
Yeah.
like basically the entirety of Heartbreach got changed. The way you open walls got changed, which is a pretty big deal on a lot of maps. So yeah, it definitely kind of threw off practice a little bit. Like we still got to a bit, but then also you're playing against teams that are like, for example, running the new Thatcher and like trying new takes with a new Thatcher, and we're sitting there like what do you do? Like what are we gonna do? We're gonna ban Thatcher in scrims, and
Yeah.
then like waste a ban. We're not gonna do that in a match. These guys are doing a take that we're 100% not gonna play against. So yeah, things are a lot different because of that. And like you can't blame the other teams too. They're playing like for their quals and stuff like that, where they should be practicing with this stuff. So it made it kind of awkward. And then like obviously we're not going to practice against M80 and SSG because we're playing against them. So that just kind of threw it off. I think that was the big thing. And then like I said, like the three teams that were there were already qualified, so it wasn't like super high stakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's all. Like we were all still like they were competitive games. We wanted to win. We still wanted to win our games. M80 seemed like they were still trying. Like SSG, same thing. Like everyone wanted to win still, but it's still there, kind of in the back of the head. Like it's not as important. It's not the end of the world kind of thing.
When M80 was on this show a couple weeks ago, Fabian just flat out said, like, this event doesn't really mean anything to us. We qualified for SI.
Yeah.
We just won the Munich Major. If we do well, we do well. If we don't do well, we don't do well. We don't really care beyond
Yeah.
that. And, you
Like
know,
you're trying out of like competitive spirit. Like
yeah.
we're all competitive people, like the guys playing there. So like you're gonna try. Like no one's gonna be there and like be okay with losing and just like smile on their face, like, yeah, we're losing. Fuck it. It's all good. Like no one there is gonna be like that. Everyone wants to win. But it's not quite the same. Like there isn't the same kind of goal. Like there is prize money, but it's not quite the same. That's all.
It reminds me a lot of those old US division events in Vegas, where it's like you still want
Yeah,
to go and do well, but like if you lose, whatever, you're in a casino, you're in Vegas, go spend some money, have a good
yeah,
time.
just have
Like,
fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
fun
uh,
events.
yeah. And to be fair, I think this one like truly fun. It was really cool. Like local crowd. Uh, they were really loud. Everyone got into it.
The crowd was
And it's
good.
like
I couldn't really hear the crowd that much. Was the crowd that good?
they were great. They were great. They were getting into it. They were loud. And it's like super close. Like I mean, maybe not ideal. Like we use the same bathrooms. Like you see everyone. So
Yeah.
it is cool. Like it just felt like a local event, kind of like those DreamHacks. And I think it was cool. And honestly, it's great that the T2 teams get to play in an event too. So I like that part.
Yeah. The T2 event was particularly great. And I mean, do you have anything more to add about this esports calendar? Do you want to just move into talking about the NAL finals? Do you have?
I mean, no, I think the main thing for me is another major, and just the way SI points work now is that instead of the NAL and regional finals being essentially the second major to like
Yeah.
get you a good amount of points to qualify, now you have two majors to get points to qualify. Um, so I think it should reward like if the majors are as heavily weighted as they were this year compared to like the actual regional leagues,
Yeah.
I think teams that deserve to qualify will qualify, and I think that's a good thing. I'm assuming because this year I think they tried to adjust the points, like learning their lesson from previous years. The problem was is there was only one major, so it didn't
Yeah.
matter. Um, Whereas with multiple majors, like if you're performing well, like if you're getting out of groups consistently, you're gonna make SI. Um, so I think that'll be good.
And most teams have locked in their positions now. We just need to wait on the LCQs. So the
Yeah,
LCQs will be running. They've already been running. Qualifiers have already been ongoing. It
open.
really kicks off in January. And this episode, we're not going to be focusing on the LCQs or SI because we've got obviously a wealth of episodes to go until we physically go to Paris. Um, so right now our focus is just going to be on what has happened. So let's use this as an opportunity because I agree with most of your points about the esports calendar. I'm a fan of basically everything. Obviously, I'm a progressively shrinking outlier because I feel like more and more people are gradually giving up their concern over EWC, which is whatever. But I mean, my concern hasn't changed. Other players and other broadcast, team haven't changed. So either way,
I
I
think
think every
players don't have much say.
no,
They're
and
on a
I know
team
that.
full of people, so
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
I've talked to players that are like, I would like to not go, but I don't want to get cut from the team. And also, if I go, it's still good money, right? So, again,
Yeah.
to me, a necessary evil. I don't know what our viewers think. I think actually hearing from the people who watch this show, not just their general thoughts on the esports calendar, but the inclusion of EWC, because I am very curious as to the people who watch 6on6, how many are on my side versus how many don't care versus how many are actually like against me and are like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a great event. So I did speak when we first brought this event back, or when we first brought this show back. One of the key reasons why I wanted to actively do this was as an additional revenue stream, because I am losing out on effectively a major a year by not working EWC. I am losing out on a really large paycheck. They pay very, very well. And one thing I will be very curious to see is if the rates change, because now that it's going to be a part of the proper circuit, are we going to go to the regular rates, or are they still going to be sky high bananas, basically just give you a Scrooge McDuck swimming pool of money to swim in to go to this event? I'm curious about that. But esports calendar, good. Hopefully most of you watching agree with it. If you don't agree with it, if there's anything you don't agree with, sound off. I want to hear you. So let's focus on the NA League Finals then. We were not there. The casters were not there. Everybody else was there. Reason why the casters weren't there was just simply a budgetary one. To get XR Troika, myself, and Jesse, 3 non-Americans into America under current circumstances with a relatively hostile government to people coming from outside of the country, it would have cost tens of thousands of dollars for a visa for 2 days, and it was just simply not worth it. The NA League Finals were relatively small potatoes in when compared to all the other parts of our esport. There's just no universe in which Blast, Nerd Street Gamers, or Ubisoft are going to shell out potentially 20 grand to get 3 of us O1 visas for a week so that we can go to Philadelphia. It wasn't going to happen. And honestly, I'm not super upset by that. It was a cool event, and obviously I'm going to take every opportunity to go to events when I can. But I mean, you're telling me that I only work 1 day, which I did. Jesse and I just did the grand finals. We did a single best of 3, and that was it. You're telling me that that's all I need to do, and I get to stay at home, eat my own food, drink my own coffee, and not have to go to America? I, as a Canadian, am A-okay with that, brother. So, you said the experience was good?
Yeah, it
Tell
was
me
cool.
about it.
Like it was. I mean, like I said, it was this like cool local event kind of vibe. Crowd was loud. They were into it. They were having a good time. Yeah, I had fun. I don't know.
Had you ever
Pretty simple.
been to Philly before?
I had landed there and because we flew into Philly for Atlantic City, so that was the only time technically.
Really?
Yeah.
I went through
Did you not have to?
Newark. I went
Oh,
through
okay.
Newark. Yeah, I
It
landed in
was I
Jersey.
landed in. Yeah, I landed in Philly and they drove me 2 hours or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
took a
was
while.
an hour and like 35-minute shuttle ride for me,
Yeah.
and the payoff was that you get to arrive in Atlantic City.
In I think it was fall.
It was
Wasn't nice out.
it was spring. It was spring, but it was pouring rain.
I was gonna say it was not nice out.
It was horrific. It was
Yeah.
the only nice day I think was the last day when we were leaving. Every other day was like literal torrential downpour.
Yeah.
Yeah, Atlantic City. Well, keep in mind that event. I've said this actually. Now that it's been, I'm under no NDA for this anymore. The event was originally scheduled to be in Miami, and then I don't know what happened, but at the last second, like we were in Poland, finishing up casting, and we got like the full like dossier of everywhere it was supposed to be. I forget what theater it was supposed to be. It was like the Biltmore, the Fillmore Theater, or something like that in like downtown Miami. And we had everything. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, we get to go to Miami. Like, at that point, I'd never been to Florida. I was like, sick, that's cool. Miami seems like a cool place. And then, like, 2 days before they announced it, they're like, oh, by the way, we're not going to Miami, but we are going to a place that's, like, it's a city. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, it's Vegas, eh? And they're like, there's gambling. And I was like, we're going to Vegas. And they're like, Atlantic City. And I was like, what? No. Fun event. It was an odd event, but it was still a fun one. Yeah, I think Philadelphia gets kind of lost in the mix with big American cities just because it's so close in proximity to other larger cities. New York City's right there. It's like what, a 2-hour drive from New York City.
Yeah.
not terribly far from like DC. Like you've got all these huge cities on the eastern seaboard, and I think Philadelphia just gets kind of, unless like the Eagles do well, I feel like the city just kind of gets forgotten about in like the conversation. Um, I would have liked to have seen the NSG studios because I never actually got to visit them. They seem neat.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm the wrong guy to ask. It's cool to be there. I had a good time. But
I'm a take in the scenery kind of guy. You're a, I want to go and win the game and then go home kind of guy.
yeah, we didn't get to do a ton. I mean, we
No.
literally. I think we got there. I got there like Thursday night. What? I guess we had some time on the Friday. We did
Right.
media on the Friday, and then we had some time, but kind of wanted to get into the game a little bit, used to the game. So yeah, I don't know, not a lot of time.
How
It's
tricky
pretty.
was it? How
Go ahead.
tricky was it? How tricky was it playing the finals on a different build?
I mean, the practice isn't good, but like, we had been practicing on it before, so like we're familiar with it. But yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I think the issues that we had in Munich, um, we were aware of them. Like it's a lot of like fundamental stuff and like playstyle kind of stuff that we want to adjust and find solutions to. And I think we have a good plan for it, but it's not something that could change overnight. So we didn't really get to resolve any of it. So it was just kind of like show up and do our best and keep these things in mind that we want to try to change and improve on. And like we did try to change some of it, and I think we noticed like a positive effect, but it's like we literally have no practice with it, so it's not very polished. Um, so yeah, but I mean, as far as the update being different, like it's the big problem is just no practice. Um, and it's also like again in the back of your mind, any like for an event like that, it's like a stepping stone for SI. So you want to be practicing on the current patch that SI will be played at. Like like you don't want to go there and be playing fucking skyscraper. Like
Great
we're
map.
over it. Yeah, like let's
Excited to see it at SI. How do you
keep it
think it'll
moving.
do? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm happy about Fortress. I'm glad. I always thought it was decent. I used to say when the old Fortress was in the game, like they should just try it out because I never thought it was that bad. I thought it was oversized, like there's a lot going on, but
I said the same about Canal.
I've never minded that about maps. Like I think a lot of maps that are like that, it's like it usually ends up being good. Like people definitely thought that about Lair. Like Lair came out and people were like, this map is way too fucking big. Like I don't know where the fuck I'm at.
Yeah.
But it ends. I think those maps end up playing better because there's like I think that there ends up being more creativity because there's like different zones. There's a lot more zones you can use on the map because at the end of the day you can't hold the entire map like it's so fucking big. So it just gives everyone more opportunity and more things to kind of play with.
Yeah. I'm gonna cut up this section just really quickly. We technically this is a weird ad read here because we are filming the show on Friday, and we'll get back into the NA League discussion in just a second. But there is a tournament happening tomorrow, which means that by the time you watch this episode, it will be over. So the ad read is for the tournament, but it will be a bit of a moot point. I mean, maybe you can go and watch it on people's streams or watch it on the Last Free Nation channel or wherever it's going to be streamed at. But it's for a game called Mechabellum. For people who don't know, Mechabellum is a game that was developed by Game River and published by Dreamhaven. For people who don't know Dreamhaven, it's an offshoot of another very, very large publisher. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say the name of the other developer because sometimes you're not supposed to do that. But anyway, Google Dreamhaven if you want to know who they are. Some of you will be very pleasantly surprised. Basically, Mechabellum is a tactical auto battler where you build a fearsome mechanized army against your opponents. And basically, Last Free Nation personalities tomorrow will be competing in the event against regular players. It's a 2v2 tournament. And it might be, like I said, it might be a bit of a moot point here because we are filming a day later. We were going to film this episode a couple days ago, but Fed has been like deathly ill. I was sick for a little bit, and then Mint has obviously flown home. So that's why Troy is here, who is also semi-sick for the record. So thank you, Troy, for coming on despite the fact that you're still a little bit under the weather.
All right.
You're doing okay. But anyway, if you're playing the game Mechabellum, use the code LASTFreeNation in-game to earn a special holiday-themed in-game reward if you do tune in to the live stream. at the time. You'll have a chance to win random rewards and keys. That's only obviously if you do it without this, because we're going to be a day late. But either way, whether you choose to tune into the stream tomorrow or not, or technically yesterday when this goes live, Mechabellum is 40% off Steam right now in the winter sale until January 5th. So there's no better time to jump in and try this great game. I will say it is unlikely. I was originally going to be participating, but it is unlikely now because I have a friend who's flown in from Los Angeles and we're going to be surprising him. And unfortunately, that will take up my Saturday. So I'm no longer able to play in it, but I was actually quite looking forward to it because it brings back memories of games that are very, very similar in terms of style and identity. It looks really cool. I watched a bunch of videos on it. If I had the opportunity to play, I would be playing or watching it. So if those types of games are your bag, go check out Mechabellum on Steam. So technically an ad read, technically not really an ad read, but it's just more of us just calling attention to a game that, might have slipped under the radar. And with the Steam Winter Sale live right now, there's tons of stuff that's good out there for you to buy. And if you're watching this and you haven't played Rainbow Six in a while, now's a good time to come back. All right, NA League Finals. So, played on the old patch. M80 comes in. They don't really care if they win or lose. You guys come in. Super went on. I can't remember whose stream it was. Might have been Fett's stream. I can't remember. But Super basically went on a stream and was like, we didn't really care. We didn't really try. Whatever. We wanted to win, obviously, because we always want to win. But whatever. But
We tried, but we had like no practice. We tried.
Yeah, exactly.
And like,
so you were
like
not set up for success.
Yeah, and like we said, coming from Munich with the kind of turnaround that we had, like we couldn't resolve the issues that we wanted to. We're happy
issues?
with what we did.
What are the
Like
issues?
I said, I think it's like some play. Well, no, I'm not gonna. No, I got an SI to play. Fuck.
You want to tell the world your issues while people do Oppo research?
No. No. But yeah, like fundamental and like play style stuff. That's all. But more specifics than that, no, I'm not talking more than that.
Okay, I feel you.
But yeah, I think not a lot of time to sort those things out, and yeah, and I think SSG, they've kind of had our number for a while. So
why is that? Why do you seem to historically struggle against your old teams?
I don't.
Sometimes you do.
No.
Yeah.
No.
DZ, who we'll be talking about later on this show. You
lost
own
to them
DZ.
once.
You own DZ.
Yeah. And when I was on DZ, we beat SSG a lot.
Lately, SSG has had your number. Why is that?
Yeah. We have ideas, and I'm going to leave it at that.
You don't want to share?
No. What?
We're not getting any secrets here from you. I'm trying to extract secrets from you, but we can't.
No.
On your screen, by the way, should be the NA League results. You got beaten by Space Station in the upper bracket semis. You had to go through a pretty long lower bracket run in which you toppled Dark Zero, OXG, and M80 on the way. Out of all of those teams, which one was the hardest matchup? Which team gave you the biggest trouble, irrespective of the scoreline?
M80 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like, SSG obviously because they beat us, but
I meant of those teams I listed.
Of all the
in the
teams
lower
you
bracket.
listed, Oh, okay. Lower bracket,
Yeah.
M80. Yeah. M80.
What's your read on Oxygen?
I think they're solid, but they seem to have like some consistency stuff, and I also think, I think that comes down to like Forrest. I think calls for them, and you could see it in how he plays. Like he's a bit chaotic, so I'm sure the calling is similar. So yeah, I think they struggle finding like some consistency. I do think they have good players, and I think they have some good ideas though. Like there's stuff they do that I do think is solid, and I think when they're on point, they're a top-notch team. But I do think they struggle a little bit with consistency. But yeah.
What is your read on Adam?
I think he's a good player.
He seems to struggle under the bright lights.
I think he's like a bit of maybe a one-dimensional player might be the way to say it, but like I think he's like a player you want to set up. And when things aren't going the way he expects, he has trouble like adjusting to it, I think. if people aren't attacking the way he expects them to, or whatever it may be, something like that, I don't think he adjusts the best,
Yeah.
probably. But, if you just go try to take a one-on-one gunfight with him, you're not gonna have a good time, probably.
I'm in an effort to grow as more of an analytical caster, because obviously that's not my role. I'm a
Mhm.
play-by-play caster. My job is not really to know the game. My job is to know like the X's and O's of the game enough to be able to communicate it. But
Yeah.
as anybody has watched any siege over the last 10 years, you'd know that the actual play-by-play in a round is like 30 to 25% of the round. The rest of it is storylines, narratives, exposition, analysis, color work, etc. And one of the conversations that came up on a previous show was about negativity and negativity in the casters, and just pointing out what teams do wrong versus what teams do well. And my big focus working with Jesse has been figuring out when things go wrong, what is the reason for that? Is it a team doing poorly or is it a team doing well? I've been talking to teams, I've been talking to players, I've been talking to coaches. I'm starting to get a better handle on the nuts and bolts of each round, because there's stuff that we miss from a spectator perspective, and I'm not a pro player. It should shock nobody here to know that I don't have that level of ball knowledge. But a player like Adam kind of confounds me, because he shows such dominance in regular season and sometimes in big games. He can absolutely frag with the best of them. He can do tremendously well. And then it seems like this is the eye test. This is not a numbers test. This is the eye test. Whenever we get into like really tense matches, he just can't stack up. And I have to wonder, is that you're getting shut down by tough opposition? Is it just that he's still a great player, but everybody brings their A game and he struggles to find that other level? Or is it that he doesn't really care about it, the skills of the other players? It's the external noise he shuts out. It's internal noise that causes him to shrink. He has confidence issues. Or maybe it's just that OXG as a team struggles to adapt to tougher games because maybe they don't have a depth of strategy, or maybe their map pool isn't as strong for, a best of 3 or a best of 5, etc. And I mean, I obviously throw the floor to you, because you know better than just about anybody else as to why this stuff happens.
Yeah, I think when you're playing against like better teams and players, and when it's higher stakes, I'm sure they'll have even better preparation. You're going to be tested more. And I think it's as simple as that. Um, yeah, like I said, like when he's set up to do well, and like things are going as he expects, I think he plays really well. I think he's really good mechanically. But I think, yeah, I think when you're playing against the better teams and the better players, and again, when they're preparing well, I think you're going to get thrown in situations more often that you're going to be uncomfortable in. So then
Yeah.
I think that's the part of his game maybe that he hasn't figured out yet.
I mean, he's still, I would say, an inexperienced player, right? Like
Yeah.
he hasn't really had his time at the top like a lot of his other, his teammates have, and a lot of the other teams have. And it's tough. And you've seen players who are really crazy experienced are, they still shrink under the bright lights too.
Yep.
So it's, I don't know. I've never really been there. Like, I'm not the kind of guy who shrinks under pressure. I'm usually the opposite. When the pressure is the toughest, I tend to excel. As a person, I tend to like level up when the stakes are higher. But I know not everybody's like that. And I know there are times when I'm not like that too. And I'm not competing in matches like this. So I just wanted to take some time to talk about OXG, because they are a team that has not really had the airtime on this show as much as they should. I did want to touch on your former org DZ for a second here. Pambazoo retiring, picking up Rival. Give me your gut shot on that. Obviously, you have some thoughts.
I mean, I think I think they was kind of like a last second thing that they had to deal with. I think Pamba's like, I always thought he was a huge piece of that team. So I don't think no matter who they got, like, because they're gonna have to look at T2 players, like they weren't gonna get like a top level tier 1 player, right? Because
Mm,
like we weren't gonna make a change to go, like none of us are gonna leave our team to join DZ and play in qualifiers. Same with M80, same with SSG, OXG probably wouldn't take that risk either because same thing. It's like they're competing against them for the qualifiers. So like in most cases, like you're not going to get like a super experienced high level player. There was no one available like that with that kind of turnaround, and I don't think you're not going to get the same out of a tier 2 player as you would with Pamba. I think
Yeah.
Pamba was like in terms of how the team play. Like I think a lot of people don't know this about him, but like he's a very smart player and he understands the game really well. Like big picture standpoint. Like I actually think it's not his personality, but his understanding of the game. I think he has a good enough understanding of the game to like be an IGL.
Yeah.
And I would not
That
say that
is,
about many players. So I think that's hard to replace.
I think a lot of people overlook Pamba because he keeps to himself, doesn't stream, doesn't tweet all that much. He and NJR are just kind of like, they're like wallflowers on from like a social media perspective, right? Like they're just there. They're blended in the background. They do their talking in the server. That's about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have such a limited amount of insight into these teams that all you can really go off of is what they publicly show. If Pambazoo is not publicly taking a leadership role in DZ, if he's not taking, a public stance on issues, he's not tweeting about stuff, he's not streaming, he's not producing content, he's not doing interviews, you're just going to be like, oh, he's a gunner, and then move on with your life. So for you to say like he could be an IGL.
Yeah, but people don't know that, but like he could. And like again, I would not say that about many players.
Yeah.
Like so yeah, he understands the game like that.
It's a hot take. Do you know why he retired?
It's not a hot take. I teamed with him.
Well, I mean, a hot take in the sense that nobody else, I have never heard anybody else say that.
Well, how many players have you? How many players that have teamed with him have you asked?
Well, I'm not actively going around asking teams for status reports on their teammates, but I mean, we do have conversations about other players on other teams.
Yeah, but
where it's
the
like
only people that would know that would be teammates of his because he keeps to himself.
And he's only played on one team.
Yeah, exactly.
So unless you're one of the, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 people that have teamed with him or been a member of the coaching staff, you might not know that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I'm surprised, like Kyle would say that probably. If he was on the show when that happened with Pamba, I don't know if he was on the show for the discussion, but
I think he was. I mean, the shows all kind of blend together. But I also feel like there's maybe I'm wrong here, but I think there's a reluctance on Mint's part to crack into the
I've heard him actually say that. I've actually heard him say that on his stream though. That Rob could be an IGL.
And this is why you should watch Mint's Twitch streams. They're very educational. They're very entertaining. He streams a lot with Dream. I think they're good to watch. I've been watching some of it. So
I know a lot of players watch them for the co-streams. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. And I mean, like, if I co-stream, players aren't going to care about what I have to say. They're going to care about what the former pros and the former coaches have to say because their insight's going to be far more valuable. So if you are here and you are ever looking for a comfy co-stream, we have 2 of the biggest Rainbow Six co-streamers on this show regularly, both Fet and Mint, and they both provide a very different insight into the game, but they are both still incredibly knowledgeable. They are both major winning coaches.
Indeed.
And then I am a caster.
Yes. Casted a lot of majors, though.
I've casted a lot of things, but I still don't have the credibility. And you know what? I don't need it because it's not my role. I would like to improve my ball knowledge. That's why I talk to you guys.
Respect that.
Thank you. Trying to get better. And I know if it's okay to say, I know you were a little skeptical of Jesse as a caster when he first made his debut.
Yeah. Well, I've spoken to him and you about it, but yeah, I was not crazy about him before on the desk, but I think he's done a good job. And every time I talk to him, like he's trying to just understand the game more. And I also like his humor and what he brings to the table. So
he's a real fucking idiot, is what he is.
I love the Pierre Maguire vibe.
Yeah. When he references Pierre Maguire, for those who don't follow hockey, is, and I guess he's an analyst now. I don't know what is it like.
It's like
He wears,
sideline.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. He sits between the two benches,
yeah,
and they just like throw to him.
and he'll be like, so and so when he played, junior at 12 years old in Northwestern Michigan, there were only 7 people in the arena, and he was still putting up 18 points in his rookie season, and it's like, how do you know this? He's like, if you follow music interviews, he's like Nardwuar for hockey. And it's absurd the knowledge that he has. And Jesse tries to do the same thing where he's like, he gets T2 results, gets T3 results. He knows their birth dates. He's shown me his document. He has every single player's like date, like where they're from, like how old they are, a brief synopsis of them, like their history, accomplishments, etc. And he'll be like, Pride Ann Arbor, Michigan, playing pro now for 391 days. And it's just like, okay.
I mean,
okay.
For me, like growing up watching hockey, and I'd hear that all the time. So
yeah,
just every time it throws me back. I love it.
A bit alienating maybe for the cast for people who don't watch hockey, because we do make a lot of hockey references, and it is, the 4th most popular sport in America.
That's true, but it's okay. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That's why we bring our Canadian. Like, I mean, look, nobody's listening to Ace and Des thinking I want them to be less British. So I mean, if you're listening to Jesse and I, and you're thinking I want them to be less Canadian, go elsewhere. We are go to the Aussies, go to the Brits, go to Lynx and X, go to wherever you want to go. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to work on that ball knowledge there. I like Pamba, and I mean, it was quite shocking to see that he had retired, or at least, is it a retirement or is he just stepping away? Because I mean, let's be honest, Troy. When you say retire, it's got to be permanent, right? Nobody would ever retire from a team and then decide to come back, like 4 or 6 months later.
I never said the word retire. You can go back through it all. I never said the word retire because I knew. I never said that actual word. CGG put out articles and said retire for me, but I didn't say retire.
I mean, CGG getting something wrong is.
I mean, it's
that's peanut butter. That's peanut butter with jelly. Like fork found in kitchen. CGG has something wrong. I like the guys at CGG, but it is. They put out something, I think, at Munich, and Jesse quite literally ratioed them, and they had to like fact check themselves. And it's like it's mostly a one-man operation now. It is really quite upsetting after, I think it was Fandom bought CGG or Xfinity or Comcast or some corporate entity. And it was basically like the death knell of an organization that had styled itself off of HLTV. And that they really, really tried. And Spleck was great, and a lot of the guys at the top were really great, but it's just like they needed money, like most things. It's hard to keep the lights on. And now it's like basically one dude doing it all. And it's like, I don't envy him. I know how hard it is from my own perspective. Like I know how tricky it can be in the early days of casting, in the early days of 6-on-6. I did an awful lot of stuff that now thankfully we have a team that can handle. And it's like, I know how challenging it can be when you're wearing like 6 different hats, and you got to make sure that every single thing you do is good, or else you're going to get scrutinized. And especially from like journalism, like the goal of journalism is to be accurate. And if you're not accurate about numbers, or you're not accurate about storylines or whatever, then it calls, all of your credibility into question. So I just wanted to roast you. But do you know, do you think he'll come back? Do you think Pambazu's done for good? Or what do you think
I think I think he's going to see, probably. I think he needs a break.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say he will or won't, but I think he needs a break in general.
You think it's a DZ thing, or you think it's a game thing?
I think he's just like burnt out, honestly.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think it's the team. I don't think it's anything like that. I think he's just burnt out. He'll probably take some time and then come back and see.
What got you over the burnout when you first left?
Going home, not touching a PC for like 3 months, and then I don't know, just taking care of myself. That was basically it. And then I just felt better, and then I had to sub in for SSG at the SI.
Yeah, you had no choice.
2021. So I subbed in for them, and then that made me want to play again, because that was a big thing for me, was that it was no international tournaments anymore. Like that was like what was killing me, because like I had nothing to look forward to. It was just playing the same teams over and over again for a year, and like there's no one new to look forward to playing. And then playing at that made me, I was like, oh shit, I still love this. So it made me
You're a
realize
competitive
that.
guy.
Yeah, I still took some time afterwards because it kind of cut it short, having to come back and practice and play. But yeah, it made me realize like, okay, I still want to do this.
You still liking being back?
Yeah, yeah. I've got no problems, like no motivation problems or anything like that now. Like I think I have a lot better handle on how to take care of myself and yeah, keep myself motivated and all that.
I think it's a good time that just to remind people that no matter what job you do, you need to take care of yourself, and even if it's fun, it's still a
Yeah,
job. You know, like I get asked a lot, you know, like, do you like your job? Blah blah blah, like, you know, dream job, etc. And I'm like, look, if it were up to me, I would not work. If it were up to me,
yeah,
I would get paid to go like hang out with friends and see family and stream and make art and do whatever the hell I want to do and not be like shackled to a job. I think a lot of people feel the same way. Some people find value in work. I find value in work that isn't like from a purely like capitalist cog in a bigger machine kind of deal. So for me, like I've got it really good. Like I work a job that doesn't feel like a job. It feels like I'm just kind of having fun. I get to watch video games. I get to be engrossed in like the gamer world. I get to, you know, be, you know, kind of 1 foot in the streamer world and 1 foot outside. And up until recently, like I abandoned pretty much all social media. I wasn't using Twitter at all, wasn't using Instagram for anything like esports related. You know, we stopped 6on6 for a variety of reasons, but honestly, like a big part of it was just me wanting to walk away from it. I wasn't streaming. Like I was just like on my days off, it's like I just want to wake up. I want to do laundry. I want to play with my cat. I want to go see friends. I want to go for a drive. I want to go for a walk. I want to listen to music. I want to play guitar. I want to play other games. Like I want to like read. Like there's just lots of stuff that you want to do. And even though this is a fun job, it's still a job at the end of the day. Like you still got to punch in, you still got to punch out, you still got to do the work. You still have the same stresses about like, where's my next paycheck going to come from? Is the league going to get shut down? Are there going to be better casters from your end? It's probably like, you know, or are there going to be better players? Are there going to be better IGLs? Are there going to be people who fit the team better? You know, like there's always a layer of like uncertainty that you kind of need to cut through. And some people dive all in, like I did when I was in Poland. I was streaming basically every single day and then like came back like home to Canada. And then when COVID hit, we were doing the podcast every single week. I was streaming like 4 days a week. Like I was still casting. And it's just like my cup just overflowed at one point,
yeah,
you know, and it's like you just need to take a step back and just kind of shut yourself off. And that shouldn't be the way it goes. You should be able to get to a point where, you know, you have 1 or 2 days where you can let off steam. I was very unhealthy in my work-life balance. And now
yeah,
it's good to be back. I'm tweeting more. I'm making content more. I'm streaming more. It's nice to be back in the saddle now that I feel comfortable doing it. And it doesn't feel like I'm going to have like an anxiety attack when I think about hitting that go live or thinking about tweeting or thinking about making a podcast, you know, like it's like work is fun again and I want to do it.
yeah. I mean, that was basically my whole break was,
Yeah.
and I think I probably I got away with it for as long as I did playing because you know like I was so hungry to win and stuff like that, and you just kind of you don't even think about it. Like it's easy to, especially being competitive, it's easy to just like be all in on it and
Yeah.
kind of commit myself to the team and all that. And I wanted to put in all this extra time anyways and extra work and like no questions asked. I still do that, but now I'm more conscious of okay, I need to do this other stuff too. I need to enjoy my time off when I have it. I need to take it easy when I can, um, to make sure that I'm not gonna completely, yeah,
Yeah.
just completely burn out of nowhere kind of thing. I'm a
If
lot better at managing it now.
basically killing yourself to live, right? Like,
Yeah,
and for me, another big part of it was now in retrospect. At the time, I didn't really have a good handle on it, and I wasn't in a position to acknowledge it. But after Michael's passing, it's like all I really wanted to do was just keep busy, and you know, it was ignoring grief, ignoring trauma, like ignoring the sadness and all that came with it. And it's like I'm just gonna stream, I'm just gonna do this, I'm just gonna do that. And I found, you know, some pathways were more destructive than others, but you know, it now, like in retrospect, I look back on it, it's like I didn't really take time off. Like in theory, I probably should have not worked Yavla. I probably should have spent time like immediately going to therapy, immediately talking through stuff with friends, like taking a break. But I was like, no, like I don't want to be in the silence. I don't want to be in those moments where you're just by yourself. And most importantly, like I also didn't like I felt like a responsibility to the community too, where it's like, look, like yes, obviously I'm grieving, but also like Kix Tarot as a duo was so deeply ingrained in the esport at the time. And dare I say this, at the time, I don't really feel like there was as much parity between the duos as there is now. And it's like it took time for the other duos to, you know, to get their fans and to find their voice. And now they're excellent. And we're really blessed with, you know, a lot of terrific casting duos. But at the time, it's like, I don't really want to risk an event where the community is also grieving already and then not having me be present from like a more like altruistic standpoint. And maybe that's egotistical. I don't know. I mean, anybody here can fact check me on that one or give me a reality check. But the way that I viewed it was it's like, I don't want the community to think that they're losing 2 for the price of 1 kind of deal. So I just like, I kept going. And, you know, my casting suffered, my personal life suffered, my professional life suffered. And I think it's really important that when burnout starts to happen, you acknowledge it and you don't just kind of shove it off. So
I agree.
whether that be you or Panda, I think it's good for us to acknowledge that we need a break.
Yeah.
And it's very healthy. Let's wrap up the NA League Finals. You get into the grand final against Space Station, and they deliver 2 11 rounders. So here's the question that I need to ask you. Both you and M80 are on record saying that, you know, like, we took it seriously, but we didn't take it as seriously. It was hard to be practiced, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Do you think SSG approached it the same way, or do you think they had a different idea?
I think they took it seriously, but I think it's the same thing. It's like there's limited practice. Like I think they'll agree. Like the practice situation was kind of fucked.
Yeah.
I think they probably had the same approach though, that there was things they wanted to improve on and they tried to improve on for it because they obviously weren't happy with how Munich went. I know they mentioned that prior to like the online portion of NA Finals that there was like stuff that they wanted to work on right after and that they felt like they targeted it. So like I'm sure they did. But yeah, like it's no secret the practice situation was not great. And I'm sure they would say the same thing. But we wanted to win. Like I'm not saying we showed up and didn't try and they were trying. Like that's not the case. We were trying. So yeah.
I mean, that old saying, you can do everything right and still lose, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I'm not saying you did everything right. I'm just saying that some days you can be the most prepared, the most able possible, and there's still just a better opponent.
Well,
somebody just has an unbeatable day, etc. Right? Like,
yeah. Well, I don't think anyone there was the most prepared or most able possible. But
fair point.
I don't think an event should ever be held a week after a major patch on an old patch. That doesn't make any sense. They should not do that ever again. But
the regional final should have been before Munich, I feel. But I understand that teams, but I understand that teams wanted to practice and then there was a very small window there. So
yeah, I mean, I think even just EU and Brazil situation was better because it's like,
yeah,
they're a couple days after, so at least it's not that bad. But like us, it's like we have like a week of the game's literally different. So
yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the changes that have been made to the game, but we have to get through the SA League. Anything more to add for NA League Finals before we move on? Or are you comfortable? Excellent. APAC League Finals. Results should be on your screen now. Weibo Gaming defeating Elevate. Annihilators defeated at last. Interlopers thrown out. Weibo defending the region. Fearex finishing in 3rd place. Chiefs had a bit of a spirited run there. I don't know if people expected Chiefs to make it into the top 4, but they did. Especially after what Enterprise and CAG have looked like so far this last year. And Chiefs beat both CAG and Enterprise on the way there. So Australia's always been an interesting one. There's usually always been one absolutely dominant best team in Australia, and then you've had like these other teams that can make a hero run, but usually don't have that same level of consistency. Enterprise were a pretty decent team at Munich.
Yep.
They're going to be at 6 Invitational, so for them to get beaten by Chiefs was a bit of a shock. Fearx getting absolutely dominated by Elevate isn't really that surprising. Would you say that APAC, all of the sub-regions of APAC, would you say that it is a 2-team show with Weibo and Elevate being the only 2 teams that can really make a deep run, or do you think there's more depth to it than that?
I think Weibo's ahead of the other teams, but I wouldn't even say it's like like I think just about all the teams that were at the APAC Finals there are like competitive teams.
Yeah. There's
Like
no Dom on Kia.
I think CAG has been like, oh, well, CAG has obviously they've had a year to deal with. But I think like they
That's a way of
literally,
putting it.
yeah, like they literally just came off of, finally getting through a group stage, like being the most competitive they've ever been, and it's been looking for a while like they might get over that hump, and I genuinely think they deserve to get over it. It was Reload, which is like Mickey Mouse bullshit format, but like I thought I did think they deserved, to make playoffs at least. Um so yeah, like credit to them for that. So I thought they were more and more competitive. They've obviously had to sort out their roster because of yeah,
For people who don't know, Black Ray
a
was
hammer getting thrown into things.
Yeah. Basically, there was an anvil dropped on the heads of CAG when Black Ray, who usually ends up being one of their better players at live events, was accused of some like kidnap and torture situation. And he was arrested along with, I think it was 8 other people. I think there was 9 people in total who were arrested. When one of your teammates out of nowhere gets arrested for potentially being complicit in a kidnap and assault situation, no team is probably going to be able to handle that. He ended up being, as far as I'm aware, he ended up being found not guilty and was released, and he's been streaming.
Yes.
But some of the things he said on social media and on his stream basically says like he'd love to compete again, but obviously he knows because of what happened, even though he was found, not guilty or not criminally liable or whatever the official title is. I'm obviously like, I don't want to get this wrong, but this is what I know. You can do your own Googling on the outside, but basically he was released. They said like he didn't have anything to do with it or they couldn't prove it or whatever. So anyway, he's out, but I mean, he hasn't been picked up by the team. They had to play with their coach because they obviously couldn't just find another player to replace him on the squad. And they were dealt a pretty poor hand after that. And I mean, who knows what the future holds? I know that CAG has a pretty fond place in a lot of people's hearts. A lot of people really like them. They want to see them go far. Reload is the only good event that they've ever really had. And again, you called it whatever Mickey Mouse thing you called it.
But hey, I said they deserve to get out of playoffs or to get into playoffs and all that. Like I thought they were legitimately a top 8 team there. Okay.
Fair.
Albeit the format was ridiculous.
Fair.
Okay. So like for example, like Elevate getting to the playoffs of that event, that was some bullshit. I would tell every player on Elevate that, and I'm sure they would even admit it. Because I think they went like 0-2, then they played like they had the first pick, so they picked the lowest seed team possible. They like went all in, popped the extended bag, and qualified for playoffs after winning 1 game.
Yeah.
It was against like a low tier team.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was it.
Did you watch Weibo Gaming and Elevate as the grand final?
I did not. It was going on the same weekend as NAL, so
It started at 3 a.m. Eastern. You weren't staying up to watch that?
Can't say I was. Cannot say I was.
I will say
proof that I was taking the NAL Finals seriously and trying to win.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
But I was following the results because we were finding out, like, as it was going on, who was qualifying for SI.
Right.
So I was following along with the results. I think it ended up being from the event. It was like Fearx and Elevate ended up securing their spots. Weibo and Enterprise were already locked going in, and CAG.
Yeah.
Were already locked going in. Wait, was CAG locked in?
I don't know if CAG was, but Enterprise locked in quite early.
So they were locked in before the event. They locked in at the same time as us.
Yeah,
Oh,
you both
good
qualified
keg.
the same. You both qualified the same because of the results
Yeah.
as a
Double
points.
check on keg. Whether or not they...
Only thing I will say about APAC is
Keg
again,
did
it
not get
makes
a
it
spot.
really challenging for us to obviously pay attention just because of the time zone. But I don't have a problem with imports. I don't. I don't love when an org will import an entire team from another region. I'm not a fan of that. If it's something like G2 where you've got like this kind of like odd group of mutts from across the globe, sure, who cares? You know, like that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
You know, you look at a team like DZ, that doesn't really bother me. When you look at like Elevate and DK, just picking up Brazilian teams because Brazil is good and they want to win. I understand the org's desire to do that, but then go field a team in that region. Don't.
Yeah.
APAC salaries are already so low, and the opportunities for APAC players are already so few and far between. Don't sabotage the region by taking APAC jobs and bringing in better players. Now, I know that there is like a devil's advocate side of this where it's like, well, and I've even said this before on the show, where it's like, well, bringing in these better players will actually help improve the quality of the teams in the region. So it's not without merit that they do this. It's not without, positives. But I do like when teams from the region win. So kudos to you, Weibo, for winning your matchup. And we'll see you at SI. Congratulations on being APAC Finals winners.
Indeed.
If anything more to add about APAC, this is a brisk show. We've got an ad read to go before we move into the next portion. And it's going to be our good friend Mint, who is not here. But it is for Mint Mobile. And we've talked about Mint Mobile before. Obviously, Troy, you know it because Ryan Reynolds was a spokesperson for a while. Obviously, as Canadians, we are incapable of getting Mint Mobile because it is not up here. The what is it? The CRTA, the Canadian Radio and Television, whatever it's called, doesn't allow them up here. So we can't actually try Mint Mobile ourselves. But every time we do an ad read, I have family and friends down in the States who use it. Mint literally uses it. So always kind of cool. So Mint uses it. His name is Mint. He didn't name himself after the telecom company, but he did name himself Mint. And how serendipitous it is for us to have them as one of our sponsors. So he raves about the quality. There was actually a period of time where his internet died. I think it was in the last episode, his internet died. So he actually connected by hotspotting, and his connection through Mint's network was good enough that he was able to continue this show by being on cellular device. So
wow.
I know, isn't that crazy? So anyway,
yeah,
wild stuff. So you don't have to let the big wireless and your overpriced phone bill suck the joy out of the holidays this year, because right now all of Mint Mobile's unlimited plans are 50% off. You can get 3, 6, or 12 months of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. It's Mint's best deal of the year, and it makes it really easy for you to give your expensive wireless bill the Scrooge treatment. Mint raves about Mint Mobile. Everybody I know that has it says that it is terrific. It's a product that if I were able to use, I would absolutely switch to. So this holiday season, turn your expensive wireless present into a huge wireless savings future by switching to Mint. Shop Mint Unlimited plans at mintmobile.com/SIX. That's mintmobile.com/6SIX. Limited time offer, upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan is required. It works out to $15 a month. Taxes and fees extra, initial plan term only. If you use more than 35 gigabytes of data, your internet speeds may slow down when the network is busy. Capable device is required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. So always nice to have them on board. Let's move on from that ad read to our next topic, which is Operation Tenfold Pursuit. And we can go through this really quickly. I know we've already mentioned it on previous shows, but now we've had time for the dust to settle. I am actually having a blast playing this new update. This is, and I've said this on stream because I've been streaming almost every single day. This is where you guys watching go to twitch.tv/Intero and follow, smash that follow button. Thanks. I've been streaming almost every single day, and I'm actually having a whale of a time with this. I'm loving the hard breach changes. I like the map pool. I like the changes to Fortress. I like the mute changes. The only thing that is throwing a damper on this season is the the mic bug. I don't want to call it the mute bug. The mic bug where people's mics are just not working and they also can't hear you. So it's not that they can't communicate, it's that they can't even hear you making comms. It is driving me fucking insane. But beyond that, everything else is great. I'm having a really good time. I know you don't play rank that much, if at all. But from a balancing perspective, a hard breach changes, the mute changes, Thatcher's rework. What are you liking? What are you not liking?
I'm a fan of all of it. Honestly, so I think generally speaking, I like changes that like big enough changes like this where it like shakes up the game a lot. I don't like kind of neither here nor there because I don't think it's necessarily like the mute change you could say like in comparison it's like, oh, did it really need to happen? But I do think it's like interesting stuff like him mostly being used for drones now. Um
As God intended.
yeah. I think the only one that I'm not a big fan of is that he doesn't counter Grim anymore. Maybe that might be the only one. Like I'm kind of okay with the Ace one, him not really being used for walls as much, and hard breach charges, or the secondary hard breach charges. I'm okay with that. But the Grim one's a little weird to me, just because it's basically like your only counter now is Vigil, which I guess is good for Vigil, but um,
Vigil also
yeah,
counters Lion. And keep
yeah,
in
and
mind too
Deimos. Like
that
Vigil's good, but
yeah,
I just I wish we still countered Grim. That was all. That's the only one of how I feel about that. But then the hard breach ones, I'm good with all those.
you don't
I
play
th-
much
I
hard breach these days.
no, no, I gotta play shields and execute ops.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not how that goes. Um, but I'm a fan of the changes. I never liked that you could Habana trick walls. I didn't like that you could do that before, so I'm glad that got changed. I think Mav should be the only one that can do that,
Yeah.
making the wall soft.
Or just as
Uh,
a quick side for people who don't know, if you have a reinforced wall and you take a Mav torch and you cut a line from the very top of the sheet to the very end, and you do that on the top and the bottom, the metal reinforcement falls away and it leaves a soft wall that you can then buck open, sledge open, blow open, whatever.
yep,
Habana used to function the same way, where if you take some X-Kairos and you put them in like the middle of the reinforcement and both the top and the bottom, it would do basically the same thing, and then that
yep.
sheet would fall away as well. I don't know if you've actually rewatched most of the episodes you haven't been on. I assume not, but it was something that we all kind of agreed on, that Habana doing it is kind of goofy,
Yeah.
and it's like get rid of it and balance around that, and it seems like they did that. So
Well, yeah, like the whole concept is that Habana's like a smaller breach. Like she's ranged and like
also
has
hatches.
can get multiple
Yeah.
hatches, but like if you want to breach an actual wall, she's not great for it. Which
Mhm.
like that's good. She has her niche, but the fact that she could end up opening the wall, yeah, the same as Thermite or Pav could,
Yeah.
and from a safe distance is yeah wasn't great. So I'm glad that got changed.
Have you
And then
tried
the
the new
Ace,
DMR?
yes, the gun model is a little weird to me, just because I'm not used to it. I guess
Yeah.
you like hold it kind of low. It's a little weird to me, but I mean DMRs are crazy. So and with her, like you have the bearing 9. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
You were talking about Ace?
Ace, yeah, going through mute chambers, that's a big deal. Got flashbangs. I think moving that around is kind of like, I mean, I guess because technically he got a nerf to 1 speed, he gets flashbangs, so that's a bit better. But I mean, I think the main thing is that he can go through mute charges, which is like, if you're banning Cade Bandit, mute's not going to be used on walls anymore. So like opening exterior walls like super easy with Ace. Obviously, can get impact tricked. Um, Thermite getting 3 charges, big buff for him.
Love it as
Uh,
an attacker, hate it as a bandit main on defense.
well, so I think any of those maps, it's just like he's gone. Like
Just ban Therm.
Clubhouse and Labs, like I don't see him being up.
Yeah.
almost ever. I don't see why he would. I think maybe the only case is like if for whatever reason the other team isn't banning wall denial, then maybe you don't do it. But I think like him and Mav will be banned, especially on those two maps, like very frequently. Fortress might be the same too, because I know there's the one outer wall for the bunk site. I guess that's really the only one. It
I
might
have
be
not yet learned
used.
Fortress, so
Yeah, there's an outer wall for like the second floor bunk site. So like for that
okay.
wall, it would be a big deal. For every other site, I don't think there is one, but it might come into play for the top floor still, like on one of the outer walls. But that's hard to say. I don't think it'll be like Clubhouse Labs level though, because that's like the big thing is the outer walls, with Thermite usually. So
Thatcher.
Thatcher, big fan of the Thatcher change actually. Yeah, he was just boring before.
Boring.
Now, yeah, like
He's very simple. He was a very simple, very straightforward operator.
yeah, just
You think
boring.
that's boring?
Yeah. Well, and he didn't even do his job well. Like what were you? You couldn't even use him for wall denial because two brow existed.
Yeah.
You can get around it now, but if the Cade is like actively tricking the wall with the two brow, you can't. So it's like I don't know. I guess like it's a bit of a nerf to that, but I think the main thing is like you can use it for traps. Like it's like a mini IQ kinda. Use it for traps and then for denial. For C4s and smokes, so you could do some cool plant stuff with like EMPing nitros and smokes, or EMPing like a warden and getting a smoke plant off. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of takes like that, cheesy takes that'll be implemented now, with it, which I think there will be some teams that will probably abuse Thatcher for that. I think some teams might end up banning Thatcher as a result of that. Um, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
I've liked pretty much all the changes. It feels like the attackers have a fair shot. I feel like, especially, and I'm saying this solely from a ranked perspective, right? Like there are a wide variety of stakeholders when it comes to balancing. You've got your casual community, you've got your console community, you've got your PC community, you've got your solo queuers, you've got your team environments, then you've got like your comp and up. Where it's like a change to an operator like Thatcher or Thermite might be really, really good for the comp scene, but might not be felt anywhere else. As somebody who primarily solo queues and has been grinding the ranks, I'm like high gold at the moment. It's still climbing, so we'll see if this changes as we continue to go up in the ranks. But being a hard breacher is no longer a chore. I actually like playing Thermite now. I like playing Habana more. Habana was always one of my favorite attackers, but she's just so versatile. I think the DMR is great. Having the Bearing 9 as a backup is even nicer. The mute changes are one of my favorites. Mute is a great operator, but like mute is always on a list I have of like operators I absolutely hate playing against, but are not so busted that I want them changed. Mute is on that list, right? Like
Yeah.
where you look at an operator like Azami or you look at an operator like Solus, for a long, long time, they were on the list of like, they need to be nerfed. What are we doing here? Now I feel like they're in a pretty good spot where it's like you can ban Azami on certain sites, you can ban Aruni on certain sites, you can ban Mir on certain sites, but they're not always quite so oppressive. Solus obviously is at least in a ranked perspective, is very hardly worth a ban. But with an operator like Mute, it's like, oh, I love not having to deal with them blocking my drones and also blocking Hard Breach and also blocking Lion and other gadgets. And it's like, I just kept seeing Mute in all of my games. And it's like, he's got the 1-2 punch of the SAS shotgun and SMG-11. Yeah. Like that's already strong enough as is. But then you've also got a nitro cell. He can keep walls closed. And I was just like, enough Mute. You know, like I'm tired of seeing him. And it's like, we're in that position now. And it's kind of nice. Again, this is solely from like I am solo queuing, half my teammates don't talk. There's no real coordination here. But I do think it is important that we keep that viewpoint in our minds when we talk about balancing changes, because most people who play this game are not playing at a proper comp level. Most people who will play Rainbow Six Siege are playing a ranked level from Emerald down or are playing casual. And an operator like Mute is exceptionally good at all elos at all times to that portion of the community, which makes up millions of people who play this game every day. So it's like, if we can just deal with mute, even if he's too busted or even if he's too nerfed, and they're like, you know what, maybe we over nerfed him. That's fine. Give us a break. I said this about Solus. I said this about Fenrir when they nerfed them steadily to the point where like Fenrir and Solus were still like a little strong, but like, you know, you don't really use them. I was like, if I don't have to deal with them for 6 months, I'm going to take that. I don't care if they're really, really bad. Put them in purgatory, put them in timeout, bring them back eventually. I will take the relief. And not seeing mute in every single game, every single round, honestly, like it's nice. And it makes hard breaching easier. It makes droning easier. It makes coordinating with my teammates easier. The game is way more fun because mute is not as strong as he is. And sound off. Now that we've spent a couple weeks here, when you're playing your games, you, the viewer, are you finding it nicer not having to deal with a mute every single round? Are you a mute main who's crying because you don't have your operator there to help you anymore? I think the mute change is the single best change of this patch. It has brought so much joy to my life and made this game so much more enjoyable to play. And it goes back to that old Legion nerf where it's like, Legion wasn't particularly strong, but he was frustrating to play against and he did everything, so we're going to nerf him. That's kind of where I see mute, though mute I think is a little bit stronger, and I'm glad that they've nerfed him. The hard breach changes are great. I will miss Thatcher. Thatcher was my first main ever. I will miss how straightforward he is because look, I know you make that face, but I think there is something to be said for just having a couple ops that are really simple yet quite strong. Thatcher was a very simple op.
He wasn't strong though. He's terrible.
He's not strong now, but again, he was still strong
he is strong now.
Okay. I'm talking about solo queue casual side of things. Thatcher, I could still play Thatcher every single round in ranked around gold plat, and he would still find value.
I think you're trolling the team.
I'm not trolling the team, dog. I think Thatcher is a lot stronger now. I love him, but the thing I love about him is that he's got the IQ ability to see the gadgets.
Yeah.
The fact that I can shoot a blast and be like, oh, I look on the top, all I can see is that they have a Mira and there's 4 operators not shown. Oh, they've got a Kaid, they've got a Malusi, they've got a Maestro, they've got a whatever. And it's like, oh my God, we know their whole team now. This is great. I like it. And again, the DMR is great. I do like the L85. I know some people have feelings about it. I like the L85 a lot. I like Thatcher. I like the changes, but to me, the mute change is what is really good.
Just let him jam Grim charges. Then, yeah.
We did say that we suspect that Grim will get a nerf because Grim has like no counters and is way too strong.
Yeah, I think that's the problem with it. I think I think mute was a good one for it because Grim doesn't if he brings pocket EMPs, he can kind of deal with it, but even then it's pretty awkward and clunky. So like you would need a teammate to come like nade the jammer or like Twitch to zap it or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it was a good counter before. I liked it for that. And I do think before also is like, especially if you brought it for Grim, that's like you're taking out 2 of your jammers that you're putting like it's not going to do anything else. All it's going to do is stop a Grim charge.
Yeah.
Like no one's droning that. No one's getting a wall there. So it's not doing anything else. So you're bringing it just for that. So I didn't mind it too much. But I think the other changes for me, fine. Like the wall thing, I think that's fine. I'm good with that.
Yeah. And I mean, you looked at an operator like Capitao who steadily has gained value and gained power. He's got, now he has the DMR as well, which is a 2-shot.
He did not need a DMR.
He did not need the DMR. The Brava, like the Para is a fine gun. Look at Brava. Brava still brings the Para over that Camera-S or Camers or however you pronounce it.
People do bring it against like a zombie.
Yeah.
Because like people will bring it on Capitao. Because
you're talking the Para or the DMR?
The DMR.
The DMR is just really good. I don't know why you'd run the Para over the DMR. Yeah.
I think if you're playing it aggressively, but the thing is Capitao a lot of the time you're not playing like that.
Yeah.
It's like a lot more backline kind of support. So I think most of the time you will be bringing the DMR.
Yeah.
Brava, not quite the same. You want to be a bit more aggressive, like with how you're lurking maybe. But sometimes you would bring the DMR prior because you want to deal with like a zombie. Or if you're like on a part of the map where you have to open a lot of barricades.
For the interest of time, because we've got 2 very quick topics to get through. I do want to spend some more time on this. Maybe we'll do that in our next show. Whether we do another one before the end of the year or whether we do one right at the start of next year, it's unknown, unfortunately. I'd be down to do one before the new year, but it really just depends on everybody's availability here. Let's talk about rumor roundup. Wait, before we get to rumor roundup, let's do DZ Energy. Dark Zero announced that they were acquiring Energy, NRG, which is a bit of a shocker because DZ is a much less illustrious org, far less famous than Energy. Energy has won world championships in a variety of esports. Dark Zero has won, the major in Rainbow Six, but that was really it. DZ obviously
Apex.
Well, yes, their Apex team was really, really good. I was talking in Rainbow Six, not about
Yeah, it was just
other esports.
well, you were with NRG, so I'm just giving
Yes, because
DZ a
Energy
little
is not
credit
in
here.
Rainbow Six. So I have to
Yeah.
talk about them in other
And
games.
then they had one stuff, and DZ had one stuff, and
Yeah.
just give them a little credit. Give them a little
I
credit.
might give credit. I give DZ
okay,
credit. They're a well-ran org. They have a lot of money. They are laser focused, at least from what I've heard, and I'm sure you've seen, with ensuring that they put the best product possible. Whether that product achieves the heights that they think it can hit is another question. But Dark Zero announced that they are buying NRG and are abandoning the DZ branding. So Dark Zero is gone, dead. Dark Zero bought Energy and is just like sliding into the corpse of the Tauntaun, just like completely becoming Energy. So now, presumably, DZ will be Energy starting in 2026. I know you obviously played for DZ. Just some very quick thoughts before we end the episode on the rumor roundup involving all of the hell that's breaking loose in South America.
Well, so DZ, I don't really have any thoughts on that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know details.
I mean, you could just talk about
That's
your
org
time on
stuff.
DZ.
Oh well, I don't. The way it ended, I do not have good things to say. So
All right, great.
Yeah.
All we hope
I
is
wasn't
that
happy with that.
all we hope
Don't
is
think
that
they treated me well in the end.
there you go. Congratulations to Dark Zero and Energy. We hope that your partnership moving forward is successful. That is really it. This message is sponsored by Raycon. If you're looking for a holiday gift this holiday season, I've been using Raycon's essential open earbuds, and honestly, they're great. I love that I can play my music and still hear what's going on around me. I live in a big city. I walk, I bike, I take transit. There's always people around, and being able to keep an ear on my surroundings is a really nice feature. I am not a gym guy, so I don't know how they work at the gym, but I'm sure they're great. But if you're like me and you're just out walking or exploring, they're an excellent thing to have. And right now, would you believe it? They're 20% off for the holidays. So definitely grab them while you can. Not just those, but Raycon was also kind enough to send me the bone conduction headphones, which I actually just got today. So I haven't tried it out yet. But if they're anything like the other Raycon products I've tried, they're going to knock it out of the park. I use Raycon products, and you should too. So, going back to those ones I mentioned before, the essential open earbuds, they're here for the holiday season, and they are selling fast. Raycon audio products are up to 20% off this holiday season. Go to buyraycon.com/6open. That's SIXOPEN to save on Raycon audio products site-wide. Let's move down to Brazil. So the big thing that dropped the other day, we'll put it up on your screen. Nesk tweeting a pair of Reebok kicks that are dangling from a wire that usually means that he's hanging them up. A lot of people have been talking about Nesk retiring for quite some time. He is getting older. He has not had the success I think that he would have liked with this roster. Now it certainly seems like he will be retiring after SI, because the bigger news that broke is that there is a rumor that was posted by R6 Atualizado. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That basically Liquid is looking to pick up the entire Furia core minus Herds and then finding somebody else to replace him. While we were recording this, news just broke on the subreddit 42 minutes ago that Liquid is trying to decide between Loira and Maya for that fifth spot. So it would be KZ, it would be what would it be, Nade? It would be JV92, Felipox, and then either Loira or Maya. That's being reported right now on our Rainbow Six Pro League subreddit as of 42 minutes ago by Victor Goss or Goyce123. Could you imagine Liquid just buying that team wholesale? Like, that's crazy stuff. Everybody on Liquid is gone. They just
I could imagine it. To me, from hearing it and then like the amount of changes that would need to go down, because then it's also implying that Furia has like a rebuild and that says like Volps goes there with Herds and rebuilds on Furia, and then they're probably taking from top teams. The implications of like just how many changes would have to go down in Brazil. And to me, I'm just sitting here like, why? Like, why are why are we doing all this?
Yeah.
But I mean, it like I'm not complaining, I guess, if it sets teams back. But it sounds like madness. It sounds like madness.
Liquid has an awful lot of money. Fluxo and W7M merged, so now they're called Fluxo W7M. And the rumor going around is that Cons will be replacing Volps. I don't know how I feel about that. I have not been particularly impressed with Cons, but I mean, Nip is doing well, so maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe it's my lack of ball knowledge here.
I think he's been the IGL for NIP, and
Yeah.
I think they're like a little like old school with how
Mhm.
they play, but like their strats make sense and stuff like that. Like I think he was doing a pretty good job over there. So and I think he's a solid support player. So yeah, I'm assuming though that it was more Volps was like, oh, I'm going to do this, rather than they were like replacing him in the first place. I don't know though.
Yeah. It'll be
Yeah,
it'll be fascinating. I am curious as to why they don't want to bring Herds over. Is it an org decision? Is it a player decision? Is it Herds' decision? If the rumors are true that they want to bring the 5 of Furia minus Herds and then add Loira or Maya as that 5th, does that make them a scarier team in your eyes?
It's hard to say because I think it's a matter of like how a player like that fits into the role that they had Hertz playing. Like Hertz had a very particular play style. Like
Mhm.
not many people played like him. It's hard to say like how much of that is his doing and how much of that is like how they try to set up the player in that role on the team.
Right.
Um like I could see probably more Loira than Maya being like set up to play like that and it working, but it's at the end of the day though, like it has to click with the player. Like they have to understand how to play like that. But again, I don't know like how much of that was like taught to Herds, or like how that style and like how that came about. Because a lot of the plays that they would do, like especially on attack, like their attack is literally almost always like there's a mini play set up with Herds at the start of like almost every attack. Um, and on defense, they give like a lot of space to like play very in your face stuff like that. But I think on attack especially, like that was like a big portion of their attacks was like how they would set him up. And I don't know how much of that was him being involved with it. I don't know how much of that was like Feldpuck's calling, or maybe the staff setting up beforehand. Like these are the kind of plays we want to go for. I don't I don't know the details on that.
We just this all this news dropped in the last 24 hours, including the Nesk tweet. So this is going to be a two-parter. A, because we are basically out of time. In order to meet our commitment, our contractual obligations, we did have to get Troy onto the show because nobody else was available. But I mean, we can always record another one in a couple days' time, depending on people's schedules. We are only like 6 days from Christmas, which is crazy. We are that close, and it will be even closer when this episode actually goes live. But I mean, I will kind of cap off here because I don't think there's anything really more to add because we are short on time. But I always have a fondness and a soft spot for Nesk, and I would love to see him raising a hammer. Could you imagine he goes to Paris and in one final run, Liquid lifts the hammer? I think it's quite unlikely with the way the team is playing. Liquid also announced that Lenda is benched for the LCQs, and Rayduct, a former player who played on MIBR and a whole host of other teams, who's been their acting coach as of late, he will be competing for them.
I did not know that.
I mean, that was also reported on the subreddit 22 hours ago. That is quite striking. I don't know if they have the depth there to be a world championship level team, especially with how the other teams are firing. You're telling me that this Liquid squad is going to beat like M80 Falcons or FaZe in multiple best of threes and then a best of 5? Like, come on, I think that's unlikely. So I think the window for Nesk, if this really is true, if he really is retiring, whether Liquid keeps him or he moves to another org, who knows? Even seeing Nesk in another jersey is going to be odd. But whether he retires or not, it's going to be an end of an era. 10 years of Siege. Nesk has been a figure through all of it. I think he is inarguably one of the greatest players to ever touch this game. I think if there is a Mount Rushmore, he's obvious. I don't think he's guaranteed on it, but I think he is definitely in that conversation. And it's like, I think a lot of us who just love the storylines and love this esport would have liked to have seen him get a hammer or at least win a major. And it seems like as of this current moment, as of this episode, it seems like the likelihood of that happening is about the same as me winning either of them. So it's saddening to see a career end, but I mean, hopefully he'll be off to greener pastures wherever that may be. As for the other rumors involving like Liquid and W7M Fluxo and all that jazz, it will be fascinating to watch this play out because that's obviously going to weigh on these players' minds at SI too. Like, think about it. Like, if you're Herds, like, imagine that Herds knows all of this and there's animosity. What does that mean for Furia's spot at SI? Like,
yeah, it's hard to say. To be fair, I think it was when G2 won SI 23. There was like that was a similar thing. It was like the whole team, like they knew Wolves was gone after that event. They knew Julio was gone too after that event. So like it can work both ways. I think it depends on the people and like obviously how they feel about the situation and stuff like that. But yeah, it's that there's definitely implications for that because if players know in the back of their mind, oh, we're not going to be a team anymore, it is kind of weird.
Yeah. That's saddening. I mean, you've been on rosters before where you've played and you've known that there are roster moves coming, and it can be tough. It's bittersweet because you're competitors and you want to win, but there's also that emotional connection as well. And we have an emotional connection to the esport. It would be sad to see Nesk retire, but all good things do come to an end at some point. So at least we can all we can do is speculate for now because that's the rumor roundup, and that's our episode. That's it. It was a very quick one, less than 2 hours, our shortest episode. Based on our situation, at least we were able to crank one out. We hope you enjoyed it. As for the people commenting, just want to say the return to this show, whether it be with Troy or whether it be with Fet and Mint or just Fet or just Mint or just Troy or whomever, it has been an incredible, or just Troy, who knows, maybe the one-man show. It has been an incredible return for 6 on 6. I appreciate all of your viewership. We appreciate all of your viewership. We appreciate you sharing the podcast, talking about the podcast, commenting on it. And there are lots of good things coming in the new year. So our first episode back in January should be full of some surprises. But all I will say before we go is that people counted this podcast out for a long, long time. We were down, but we were not out. So to 2026 and onward, unless there's another episode coming in the next week, but we don't know about that. Right now, there isn't. So on behalf of Troy, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Last Free Nation, on behalf of our sponsors and both Fet and Mint, who were unable to make today's show, thank you very much. Like, comment, and subscribe as always. It really helps us out. Thanks for watching the show, and we'll see you either next week or next year. Take care.
Bye-bye.